Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarani. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Welcome, Hare Krishna. Just yesterday, I was reading some of Srila Prabhupada's letters, and I came across this very wonderful letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote repeatedly in 1972. There was a letter that he wrote in May of 1972. He wrote the same theme again twice in June of 1972. And even towards the end of the year again. So about 3 or 4 times in the same year, in different contexts, Srila Prabhupada made the same point of boiling the milk, of boiling the milk. Now, what does that mean? Srila Prabhupada said, and this is back in 1972. So you can imagine that's more than 45 years ago. Srila Prabhupada said, well, 43 years ago. Srila Prabhupada said that we have had enough centers, temples, and devotees. We are doing outreach and connecting so many of them to Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada said, but now it's time to boil the milk. Which means the devotees that we have, it is important to take them deeper on the path of bhakti than simply just connect more and more souls to the path of bhajan. Srila Prabhupada in those letters, he mentions that when you add more and more water to milk, then in no time you have lot of quantity, but there is no milk, there is no quality. And sometimes we do see that when we have a lot of people, different ideas, different additions, different expressions of Krishna consciousness, and then after decades of the movement's health, you see that there were things that Srila Prabhupada prioritized, which we in the present generation may not as much. Like, for example, Srila Prabhupada heavily emphasized street sankirtan. Srila Prabhupada would say, it is completely fine to lock the temples up and all the members can go out and do street sankirtan. Prabhupada spoke of distributing 3 things: the holy name, the literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, and the books, and third is Mahaprasadam. Srila Prabhupada spoke about distributing prasadam, distributing the holy name, and distributing books, book distribution. Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that, this is sarcasm, Srila Prabhupada said, sometimes my disciples are so busy distributing the books that they don't have time to read it themselves. Which means it is very important, of course, to connect everyone around in our life to Krishna consciousness. But it is more important, 1, to ourselves be Krishna conscious, and 2, devotees who are devotees themselves going deeper, individually and collectively. If we are not waking up, if we don't have time for chanting japa, and if we have time for chanting japa, we are distracted or deprioritized japa, where we chant japa after sunset, or somehow we are going bead after bead, round after round, just to get the 16 number done. And then the pretext is, I am preaching so much, or I am doing Jana Kalyan, I'm doing things for others. The understanding could be, if the doctor is sick himself, how can he treat others? If we don't have taste in the holy name, we could do seminars on Harinam, we could do so many things about, let's say, Bhagavatam and whatnot. But if we ourselves don't take time to read these books, we don't take time to hear Prabhupada's classes, if we don't take time to chant our rounds, chant our Gayatri, if we don't have time to invest in practice of tolerance and humility and interpersonal relation with the devotees, what can we give others? Many times I receive emails from students who say, my family is not Krishna conscious, and sometimes they write things which are very extreme. They write things like, I am like Prahlad, and my father doesn't like me to chant Hare Krishna, so he's definitely like Hiranyakashipu. I've had people write messages like, I am performing bhakti all alone in my house. It is like Vibhishan in Lanka. And they say, but Vibhishan gave up Ravana and went to Ram. So can I run away from home and things like that? To which my response always has been, Sthane sthita shruti gatantanuvak manobi. It's very important that we live where we live and do the best that we can. Krishna has given us the circumstance. We cannot immaturely run away and do what? Run away from home and do what? If you pull an unripe fruit from the branch, it's not going to ripen. It's not that by pulling a green mango from the branch, now it's going to become yellow. But on the other hand, you see when the green naturally becomes yellow by the weight of the juice in that mango, it falls by gravity, by itself, away from that branch. So when great sadhus they detach from family, it is not because हमारा उनके साथ जमता नहीं है, वो मेरी बात नहीं मानते हैं, वो भक्ति नहीं करते हैं, मेरे भक्ति के पथ के लिए प्रतिकूल है, तो मैं भाग जाता हूँ। ये अनुचित है, ये ठीक नहीं है। On the other hand, stay where you are. If you consider yourself to be a lotus flower, stay in the muddy pool that Krishna gives you. And try to develop the fragrance, try to develop the nectar in the world of your life. Therefore, there's a saying, doctor, heal thyself first. If the doctor is healthy, then he can do paropakar. He can go and treat others. But he himself, imagine the doctor is always on IV. The doctor himself has a thermometer in his mouth. The doctor himself, his blood pressure and diabetes and cholesterol, triglycerides, everything is shooting, and he's eating fried food. And what can he do to others, right? So instead of complaining, my mother is not Krishna conscious, and I'm raising this point because the volume of emails I receive on this topic is sky high. The details may be different, but from so many students, male and female, of different ages, they write the same thing, that my brother is not Krishna conscious, my parents are not Krishna conscious, my friends are not Krishna conscious. I want all of them to become devotees. Yes, Prahlad Maharaj can think like that. First, become Prahlad. First, let us Atmanam Sarvato Rakshet. Shastra says, first of all, give protection to yourself. Atmanam Sarvato Rakshet. पहले हम तो भजन कर लें, पहले हम तो भक्ति के रस को चख लें, और फिर जन कल्याण की बात करना. First, let us taste the sweetness of devotion that we want to spread around. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Bharat bhumite haila manusya janma jar, janma sarthaka kari kara para upakar. First of all, you become one. And by your presence and inspiration, others will become Krishna conscious by themselves. Right? I think even Gandhi said something like, be the change you want to see in the world. So if you want the world to be Krishna conscious, it starts with us. Charity begins at home. If you want to do a Swachh Bharat campaign, first clean your own house. Right? If you're going out on a procession, okay, clean Bharat. Every street should be clean. Wonderful. But let's start with our bedroom first. Let's start with our kitchen and our bathroom and our, right? It's just logical. It's just logical. Atmanam sarvato rakshit. First of all, we have to protect ourselves. Therefore, we mentioned this. I heard from His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, who said, I save one soul at a time, starting with myself. That should be our tagline. I save one soul at a time, starting with myself. पहले हम भागवत पढ़ लें. First, let us understand. Let us hear. Let us peacefully in one room, we take our mala and we sit and chant, and let us feel absorbed first. Then we can tell others, oh, holy name is sweet. Really? Do we really feel that when we chant? Because it's interesting. Whatever we try to preach, Krishna will test us in that. पहले हम भक्त बने, पहले भक्ति को चखें, पहले प्रभु के चरणों में प्रार्थना करें. फर्स्ट वी मेमोराइज वर्सेस, not for preparing classes, not to show others how many verses we know, not to explain it to others. That is not the, well, that could be not the show off, but to share in Hari Katha, that could be one of the external stimulus why we should study Shastra. But the main reason is I want to know what Srimad Bhagavatam has to say to me. Let me distribute the book to myself first. Right? Let me distribute the content of the book to my own heart. This is very important. Very, very important. Srila Prabhupada said, boil the milk. Yes, we must. His Holiness Shachinandan Maharaj puts it so beautifully. He says, it is important that the fruits of a tree should go outward. But that'll happen only when the roots go deep. When the roots are inwards, that's when the fruits are outwards. If the tree only thinks of distributing its fruits at the cost of weak roots, it's not going to work. So if we, and again, human life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. We have to perform bhakti for 30, 40, 50 years in our life. So more than thinking, okay, I want my neighbor to be Krishna conscious, my colleagues to be Krishna conscious, my family to be Krishna conscious. Yes, it's not wrong. This is wonderful. Prahlad Maharaj thought like that. May the whole world swastyastu vishwasya khala prasidatam. Naivo dvije paraduratyaya vaitaranyastvat virya gayana mahamrita magna chitta. Whether it is Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, everybody thought about saving the whole world. Vasudeva Datta thought about, oh dear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why don't you take the whole world with you? And I will take the sins of the whole world and I will go to hell, no problem. But you liberate the whole world. So all these acharyas spoke like this, but not at the cost of their own personal practice. Now, unfortunately, we live in a generation where somehow post COVID and with technology and social media and gadgets, it's all about visible bhakti. It's all about visible bhakti. Even if you go to Vrindavan, we have to make a reel. Even if you go on the banks of Yamuna, you have to take a selfie. Even if you go to some temple, now you have to do a little video of how you are doing parikrama. You give the phone to somebody and you tell them, I'm going to give some donation and they will give me some sweet. And at that time you take a picture. It is so sad. It is so sad that we are using the path of bhakti. Again, I'm not criticizing. But this is important that we all introspect on these points. It's for everyone, including myself. When we see these things, it's not that we have to always speak only the leelas of Krishna, sure, but we also have to deal with the practical world that we live in, right? So it is sometimes sad that um, even chanting japa, we are interested in, okay, I should have a picture of myself while I'm chanting and I'm absorbed. Well, let's actually be absorbed. Sometimes we click display pictures for ourselves, acting as if it was candid, but it was well planned. Or whether we're giving some charity and we're receiving something, or we're taking a picture with someone, it's always about showing others what we are doing. Why not we leave all these covers behind and actually do it for Krishna? Why not we actually do it for Krishna? Um, one one very exalted Vaishnav in ISKCON. Um, I would not name him because if he hears this, he would feel very embarrassed. But a very lovable personality and a worshipable superior. Um, he preaches. He preaches, but his personal practice is impeccable. Every year he takes 1 month out of his schedule only to go to Brindavan and nourish himself. And I heard last time he was in Brindavan, he did 1 month, 1 month of Braj Mandal Parikrama, which means 30 days you walk through the 12 forests of Braj. No car, nothing. You walk off the dust of Braj for 30 days and you don't have an accommodation. You have to live off a tent on, on the road. How intense is that? So bathing on pumps, there are like public pumps. You fill buckets and you bathe. Nature's call, there are mobile movable bathrooms. And only prasadam available, made arrangement by the Brajmandal team. And he's there living with everyone, with mosquitoes around, with rats moving around, in tents in the deep into the forests of Braj for 30 days. Very famous and very empowered preacher. And he put all of this undercover. He didn't take any selfie, he didn't do any reels with it. He did this genuinely for himself, for his own practice, and just with everyone else. No VIP status, nothing. Just a general tent with everyone else. And it was so inspiring because I heard from the devotees who were there in the tent next to him that he would wake up early in the morning and he would do his chanting, and all day, however hot, Vrindavan, even in October, November, it's called the October heat, gets very hot. And he's walking barefoot without slippers for 30 days, living off the dust, chanting all day, minimum speaking, counseling devotees in the evening. He would sit in classes of all other Vaishnavas with a notebook and pen, writing inspirations that he received in their classes. What an amazing example to set. What an amazing example where personal practice is not compromised. So, why am I saying all this? It is because the section that we are reading, where Hiranyakashipu is preaching to his associates, he's telling his associates in the second chapter of the seventh canto that I want all of you to go and set places on fire, destroy trees, uproot villages, kill people. So he's preaching. But the lesson we learn from that preaching is he's practicing it himself. He's as demoniac himself as the demoniac speech that he's delivering. It's not that Hiranyakashipu is very saintly and he's just giving a demoniac speech. He's practicing what he is preaching. So for us as Vaishnavas, the positive lesson out of that is আপনি न কইল ধর্ম শিখায়ে না যায় এই তো সিদ্ধান্ত গীতা ভাগবতে গায়. Chaitanya Charitamrita says you have to practice what you preach. আপনি न কইল ধর্ম শিখায়ে না যায়. Don't preach something that we don't practice. Because yeah, we could, but it's only karma, it's not bhakti then. It's just an activity. It's just a talk. It's just a motivational talk. But the best thing to do is do like Hiranyakashipu. Practice bhakti yourself and inspire others to do it. And that's what he's doing. Of course, not bhakti, but he's showing the negative example from where we are kind of extracting the positive message for all of us. And in line with the letter that I read yesterday of boiling the milk. Srila Prabhupada says this again and again. He says, by more and more different ideas, ulterior desires, hidden agendas, selfish motives, they're all like water mixing into the milk of bhakti, and the whole thing becomes diluted then. We start doing things for money, we start doing things for fame, just to show others how advanced or how dedicated we are. But at the end of it all, when death comes, all of this will be taken away. All Instagram, all Facebook, all YouTube, all WhatsApp will be taken away, completely ripped. Even body is lost. All followers will leave. Today, those who are clapping, tomorrow they will leave. And on the when we depart, they may say, बड़े अच्छे थे, बेचारे किन्हीं को तंग नहीं करते थे, स्वर्गवासी हो गए, वैकुंठवासी हो गए. They may say so many things. But that doesn't define where we will actually go. By they saying we will go to Swarga doesn't mean we will go to Vaikuntha or wherever. And it is the nature of this world. People are forgotten even when they're alive. What to speak of when they're dead and gone? Sometimes we see a personality leaves. People are, they're aggrieved and they're morose and mourning for a few days. But then life just sets back on track after that. Everyone starts to go to work and college and paying the bills, and that's it. Everyone forgets. right? And then it just becomes a courtesy. First anniversary, second anniversary. Okay, then everyone comes together, make a big cake, and offer it to the picture. Personalities have lived their life for us, and lack of gratitude sets in so quickly. So the point is, why should we waste our time impressing others, proving a point to others, when for sure we know they will forget us at the drop of the hat? Why not live our life to genuinely please Krishna, he who never leaves our heart as the super soul from one life to another? Even if we don't want Krishna, Krishna holds on to us. And this world is such that if five people are clapping, remaining 95 are criticizing. Just nature of this world. And even those five who are clapping, three of them are only buttering, only so that in the future we can get something out. Hardly one or two genuine well-wisher. So why should we lead our life with fake friends on social media, fake followers on social media, just counting the number of subscription and following and numbers? It is best, it is best to stay away from these externals. Of course, somebody could say that we can use social media for preaching. Surely we can. Surely we can. But not at the cost of our own personal absorption, right? There is so much drama going on in this world as far as social media is concerned. So definitely if somebody gets on social media and shares about Krishna, that's great, no problem. But it's like trying to remove a thorn with a thorn. Imagine there is a thorn on the feet. एक कांटे को निकालने के लिए दूसरे कांटे का प्रयोग करना पड़ता है. So with the desire that, okay, I want to preach or whatever, we are using social media, that's another thorn. And if we are not properly aligned, we may end up with two thorns on the sole of our feet. So this His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj mentioned in one of the discussions that we could use social media, but with caution. If that is absorbing us, completely drowning us, taking our time away, we are sitting in front of the screen, just keep looking at how many likes and how many comments and how many shares we keep getting, then there is something wrong. Our mind should be thinking of Krishna. People will criticize us. People will not like us. People will have problems with us. But we have to continue to march, right? We have to be optimistic. We have to be positive. Life will throw so many lemons at us. We have to make a lemonade out of it and offer it to Krishna. That is our purpose. Life will keep throwing one lemon after another. Squeeze it, make it into a lemonade, and offer it to Krishna. That's our point. Never should we feel morose that, okay, this is not working out. I did so much for that person is not reciprocating, or I lost my job, or my children are not being obedient to me, or my spouse is not favorable, or I just lost my parents. Life will keep throwing so many things at us. It is a challenge. It is a tightrope. We have to keep balancing. We have to keep working. Our chanting, our reading, our hearing, our prayers to Krishna, our personal dependence to Krishna cannot be compromised. Each of these circumstances should bring us closer to Krishna. Let's associate more with Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's hear Srila Prabhupada's classes. Um, you could use social media for that by hearing. We can use social media for hearing Srila Prabhupada. I was mentioning this in another discussion. Again, I was not told to promote this, but there's a YouTube channel called, I think, Acharya or The Acharya or something like that, right? It's a beautiful, wonderful channel where nice subtitles of Srila Prabhupada's classes are uploaded, and they do a great job in preserving Srila Prabhupada's. Again, I'm not related to them, or please don't think I'm kind of promoting. I've started promoting YouTube channels on Harikatha medium. That's not my purpose. But if hearing Harikatha was difficult, now you can see those classes of Prabhupada with subtitles, right? And please don't do a 2x on that, because it's not about collecting as much information in as little time. Just stay there. It's like hearing Srila Prabhupada real time. Let it sink in. The purpose is let Krishna Katha go into our heart. Sometimes these podcast um, question people who ask questions, they say, okay, for better viewing experience, you can switch to 1.5x. That is not something that we would say. The purpose is Not just hearing and getting the essence of everything, but let it sink in our heart. Let us hear Srila Prabhupada, let us read his books, let us wake up for ourselves what bhakti is. Let us chant Hare Krishna. Let us tolerate provoking situations. And let's read Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of devotees and gain as much inspiration as we can. Very important. Let us be Krishna conscious from sunrise to sunset and from sunset to sunrise. This is the aim of our life. Then whoever we come in contact with, that person will start getting, should I say, infected by our association, because the person will be radiating Krishna consciousness. But on the other hand, we only prepare a class and we deliver it on the Vyasasan, but we are not Krishna conscious at other times. In no time, people will be able to see through that you're speaking all these things, but in real time, you're not as absorbed as you claim to be. So we should be thinking of Krishna, going to the temple, offering obeisances, instead of seeing, "Hey, ये तो दंडवत नहीं कर रहे हैं ठीक से। ये प्रभु जी तो मंदिर आते हैं पर चरणामृत नहीं पीते हैं। ये प्रभु जी परिक्रमा करते करते फोन चेक करते हैं." Right? Our mind cheats us by looking, making us see the faults of others. Why not we just look within? Why not we just fix ourselves? दुष्ट मन तुम्ही किशोर वैष्णव. Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave instruction to his own mind. Aye swanta bhrata chatu raviaje dritapada. Raghunath Das Goswami Pad gave instruction to his own mind in a book called Manashiksha, just instructing his own mind. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, Bhajore bhai mano ati manda, Gaur Gadadhar Advaita Prabhu Nityananda. Oh mind, why don't you do bhajan? Why don't you worship Krishna? Similarly, Bhaja Hure Mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Govinda Das Avilashare. Govinda Das Prabhu is also teaching us to talk to our own mind. We want to become preachers, we want to become leaders, we want to become guru, then make the mind as your first disciple. Teach him. Let us be Krishna conscious. And then when the flower, this is quite interesting, when the flower starts getting makaranda, nectar in its whorl, it doesn't have to give a written invitation to the bumblebees. Please come when you have time. No. When the flower is full of nectar in the whorl, even if the flower doesn't invite, the bumblebees will come. The bumblebees will come. And in no time, that forest which is sitting in the middle, that flower which is sitting in the middle of the forest, somebody will come and pick that flower or pluck that flower and take it out. And that's exactly what happened with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is like a wonderful flower who first spent time in Radha Damodar himself doing bhajan, right? He absorbed his Guru Maharaj's mood. He translated Srimad Bhagavatam. He lived in Vrindavan. He cooked himself, lived very simple, chanted. He swept the samadhi of Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. Prabhupada is like a flower who had so much nectar, makaranda, in the world, in Radha Damodar. And in no time, what happened? All the bumblebees, all the Brajbasis started coming and hearing his Harikatha. And not just that, worldwide bumblebees got attracted to him. One personality. One personality. Now, we have so many devotees around the world now. All of us put together with youth and all the money, we can do what Prabhupada did. He did it in 10 years. I've been living in America for 13 years. Not 1% of what he did could I do. And I can't. And I'm happy to be lovingly defeated at his lotus feet. So Srila Prabhupada, like a flower, became fragrant with the makaranda of his own personal absorption. And then what did Krishna do? He picked that flower from deep into the forest of Vrindavan and placed it out in the city of New York because the flower had become so fragrant. Krishna got this flower out. Same with Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur. He spent 10 years chanting Hare Krishna. Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada took a vrat of chanting 1 billion holy names. Wow. 1 billion. लोग कहते हैं लखपति बन जाओ, करोड़पति बन जाओ. ये तो अरब खरबपति बन गए. यही उनकी संपत्ति थी, हरिनाम. Chanted 1 billion holy names and at a rate of 192 rounds a day, like Namacharya Haridas Thakur. And he did that for 10 years. Can you imagine? We have a tough time chanting 16 rounds. At least I'm talking about myself. It's a struggle. So we have a tough time chanting 16 rounds every day consistently. And Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada chanted 192 rounds for 10 years. So much so that even when he lived in a thatched hut, grass hut, and water in the rain would leak through the roof, if he now climbed up to fix the roof, his chanting would be left. So he would just sit under an umbrella in his own ashram, in his own little kutir. He had opened an umbrella and he would chant, thinking that now the rain will stop. Very soon the sun will come up, this water will get dried up. So why should I intervene? We cannot imitate all this. We cannot imitate. And it's described after 10 years of chanting like this, he had darshan of Panchatattva, and Panchatattva said, we sent you in this world to preach about Krishna. What are you doing? He said, I don't have money and I don't have manpower. What preaching can I do? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I will give you all that you want. But now you please, with your mala, you step out of your ashram. So that's like a flower who had gotten so much makaranda, so much nectar in the world of his life that Krishna himself was, Panchatattva themselves, Mahaprabhu himself was coming and picking. And all these bumblebees that you find as the disciples of Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, they were hovering over the nectar whirl of his heart, which is a lotus. But without that, however big the flower may be, however colorful the flower may be, if it is a fake flower, what is the use? What is the use? So if we pose ourselves to be big, colorful flowers, but if there is no fragrance of devotion, if we are not investing time in practicing ourselves, what is the point? What gain does a man have if he wins over the whole world and ends up losing his spirit soul? Jesus said this in the Bible. I'm paraphrasing, but the same point. Same point. All our acharyas, Sri Narottam Das Thakur, he personally spent time serving his Guru Maharaj. Narottam Das Thakur wanted to take Diksha from his Guru Maharaj Lokanath Goswami, and Lokanath Goswami would never give Diksha. Narottam Das Thakur was personally cleaning the toilet of Lokanath Goswami with his own hands, no gloves at that time, because he wanted to offer service to his Guru. And that's the Narottam Das Thakur he became. Look at Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before he preached and saved the whole world, he took Diksha from Sri Ishwarapuri and he himself did kirtan in the house of Srivas. He personally did bhajan himself. He took bath in the Ganga right from his childhood. He studied. So this inspiration should teach us that yes, it is important. Pran achhe jar tar hetu prachar. It is important to preach Krishna consciousness. Jare dekho tare koho Krishna upadesh, amar agya guru hayya tara ei desh. Yeah, Mahaprabhu said we should deliver the whole world by speaking about Krishna, but not at the cost of our own personal absorption, right? So this is first priority in our life. If we want somebody to be Krishna conscious in our life, it should be the one in the mirror. That's ourselves. And then there's a nice quote I heard from His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj long time ago where he said, preaching is a 24-hour activity and sometimes we have to open our mouth. Which means most of the preaching is done through our action. When Vaishnavas practice bhakti, others can just observe and learn. You don't have to even speak. I remember many years ago, I was at a temple and there was this devotee who would do pot washing with me. I used to do pot washing in the evening, late evening, and he was alongside with me doing dishes in the kitchen of the temple. And he was so consistent, so rock solid. He was doing it every single day. And he would not speak much to anyone. He was minding his own business and genuinely practicing bhakti and sincerely, selflessly serving. So one senior in that temple once told me about this devotee. He said, his actions speak so loud that you can hardly hear him speak. His actions speak so loud that you can hardly hear him speak. So this is very important that we practice bhakti moment to moment, we absorb ourselves. We should have a little checklist every day. How much am I reading? How am I progressing in my personal study of Srimad Bhagavatam? Am I hearing Srila Prabhupada's classes? Am I hearing other Vaishnavas? Um, am I memorizing prayers like Gajendra Stuti? Gajendra Stuti is a wonderful prayer. Yeah, it is little difficult and it takes some time because I think it has more than 25 verses. It's found in the third chapter of the eighth canto. But it's wonderful prayer. We are all like Gajendra being caught by the crocodile of this world. We all have problems. And we can give it through so many examples. We are all like Uttara, where the Parikshit of Bhakti is in the heart. Just like Uttara had Parikshit in her womb, we have Parikshit like Bhakti in our heart. And that is being attacked all the time by the Ashwatthama of this world. Ashwatthama is Maya Shakti, and she's shooting one Brahmastra after another to destroy the Prahlad Bhakti in our heart. So, like Uttara, we can offer the prayers to Krishna. Or we can think like Draupadi was disrobed in the royal assembly. Our faith, which is like Draupadi, is being disrobed at every moment. We are losing faith in Vaishnavas. We are losing faith in Mahaprasadam. We have more faith in the Bollywood or the cricket or these celebrities. We idolize them more than we idolize our own acharyas. We don't have so much faith in Charanamrit. We don't have faith in Mahaprasadam. We don't have faith in the holy name. We don't have faith in the Vigraha. We don't have faith in Dham. We don't have faith in Guru. We doubt even what is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is the Draupadi faith in our life who gets disrobed moment to moment. At that time, we can pray like Draupadi. Or the Prahlad devotion in us, who's only a 5-year-old child. छोटे बच्चे के समान भक्ति है हमारे हृदय में, परिपक्व तो नहीं है. हाँ? कल कल शुरू किए हैं हम सब. We have all started bhakti just we say a few days ago, compared to all these great souls. And that Prahlad bhakti in our heart gets attacked all the time, and we are not able to tolerate. So factor is holding us and squeezing, and we are bleeding. We are forgetting Krishna with bad association. Let's memorize these prayers, not to show anyone, but to come in front of Krishna and daily offer with all our heart. How amazing will that be? Where we practice ourselves. And that will inspire others so much more than what a 1 hour class will do. Prabhupada once told a book distributor, what can your 2 minutes of preaching do? Instead, give them a book and that'll change their life. Because the book distributor was speaking, 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 and the book was not distributed. Prabhupada said, what can your 2 minutes of speaking do? Instead, give them the book and it'll change their life. So the point is, it is very important, yes, to preach Krishna consciousness, but not at the expense of our own personal endeavor. Otherwise, on the pretext of saving somebody who's drowning, we will jump into the water and both will heroically drown. Andhaya tandai upaniyamana tepisya tantra urudamni baddha, Prahlad Maharaj. एक अंधा यदि दूसरे अंधे को हाथ दे, वो दोनों तो गिर जाएंगे कूप में. Both will fall in the ditch if one blind man is showing the path to another blind man. At least one of them should have vision. So, therefore, practicing regulated lifestyle, control on our senses, brahmacharya, controlling our tongue with respect to speech, with respect to what we eat, living simple life, not showing off with our clothes, with our gadgets, with our money, but genuinely practicing bhakti, tolerating, respecting everyone, trying to practice humility and forgiveness. And then with time, Krishna will empower. We were mentioning in the previous discussion that Sripad Ramanujacharya, he gives this very beautiful example that we cannot ever climb on the back of an elephant. But if the elephant loves us, then the elephant will give us support through the trunk, and we become the mahut and we can sit on the top of the elephant. इसका अर्थ ये है कि यदि हम प्रयास करें हम हाथी के पीछे चढ़ नहीं पाएंगे, परंतु यदि ये गजराज कृपा करके हमें रख दे अपने पीछे, तो हमें ऐसी दृष्टि मिलेगी जो अपने स्तर से ना मिले. So the point is, here the Gajraj, here the elephant in our example is Krishna. We can never conquer him. But if we can sincerely practice bhakti, then he empowers us and keeps us in connection to him. And now, when we were previously on the floor, but now we are on the top of an elephant. Who got this? Krishna got this. He empowers. When he sees sincerity, he uses those means to spread Krishna consciousness in this world. कई बार हम देखते हैं ना, many times we see when there is a wind or a breeze, you can see some leaf will be on the floor. But by the breeze, that leaf in no time will go and land up on top of a hut. Other leaves are still on the floor. But this leaf somehow reached the top of a hut. Why? Because by the mercy of the breeze. So we want to be a leaf on the floor, practicing bhakti sincerely. And may the kripa, breeze of Krishna, take us places and empower us to do what Krishna wants us to do. So this should be our mood. Yes, we will endeavor, but definitely not at the expense of um, our personal our personal chanting and our personal reading and feeding. Imagine you do midday meal program and you're feeding everyone, but we ourselves are hungry. We won't be able to do it. Can't sustain. We can't sustain. So it is important to feed ourselves and then feed others. This is very important. Another important example that could be given is Nano Pachara Krita Pujanam Artha Bandho. This verse is is found in Chaitanya Charitamrita. That imagine if somebody doesn't have any hunger and you've gone to a wedding. आप किन्हीं के शादी में जाकर वहाँ कुछ खाकर आए. And you're sitting next to a person who is not hungry. And now that person asks you, where did you come from? And you say, okay, I went to a wedding. He said, okay, how was it? And you start describing the different food ingredients and different, what do you call it? Different items that you ate. So now that person who was not hungry, just by hearing you describe, his mouth is going to start watering. Correct? Now, if you just describe, it's not going to happen. You described what you tasted. You add your personal flavor. You say, no, first the starters ऐसे थे, अरे क्या बताऊं, फिर तो ऐसे था, फिर वैसे था, और फिर स्वीट का तो कहना ही नहीं, एक तो पूरा एक पंक्ति बिठाई गई थी केवल केवल स्वीट्स. आज तो एकादशी नहीं है तो मैं खुल के ये सब कह सकता हूँ. तो स्वीट्स के विषय में एक पूरी पंक्ति बिठाई गई थी. There was a whole buffet just for sweets. Now you tasted it and you're speaking with so much relish. The person who doesn't have taste will develop taste. Same with Krishna Bhakti. When we practice it ourselves and we share it with so much affection because it's dear to our practice, it is dear to our heart, those who don't have taste for Krishna will start developing taste just by hearing from a person who's tasting what he's practicing. So it's very important. The tagline of our life should be each one teach one while being taught by one. Each one teach one while being taught by one. It's not that we simply become teachers, okay, I'm going to start preaching tomorrow. No, but we should have a superior on our head also who can correct us, who can teach us, who can fine tune our practice. ऐसे नहीं कि मन गिरत जैसे कहे ये ग्रंथ थोड़ा पढ़ लिया, ये थोड़ी कथा सुन ली, फिर थोड़ा माला ये कर लिया. ऐसे नहीं. Not in a haphazard way. We should have a superior above us who can tell us what to read, what to hear, what to chant. So now the question could be for many of us, okay, I don't have a superior. Now what do we do? So therefore, in this discussion, the general statement could be made that we should read Prabhupada's books systematically. We should hear Prabhupada's classes and chant Hare Krishna. And Krishna will reveal everything. Worship Gaur Nitai. Pray to them sincerely. And every single day without missing, let us be disciplined and dedicated. I know one devotee in America, Grihastha, he's so inspiring. So inspiring. So he lives about 5 to 10 minutes close to the ISKCON temple. Of course, he has a full-time job. He has two kids. Wakes up every day, every single day. He sleeps early, so sleeps around 9:30 at night, and every day he's up there at around 3:30 in the morning, chanting till 6:30. Every morning. I have observed that so many days. He's chanting for 3 hours every single day. And then for about 30, 40 minutes, he's reading Prabhupada's books with devotees on Zoom and explaining. Very inspiring. This devotee is in a place called New Jersey in America. And not just that, even in the temple, he cooks a feast for the deities and for the devotees. He's on the altar dressing the deities and offering arati. Many times, apart from buying grocery for his own house, he's also going out getting grocery for the temple. Always absorbed. Even when he's working, I remember when we were there, uh, he was working and we were playing Prabhupada's class because next to his room was the kitchen. So while cooking, Prabhupada's class was on. So I asked Prabhu because he was working, I said, I hope the class is not disturbing you. He smiled and he said, Prabhupada's voice can never disturb me. He said, because I'm so used to hearing Prabhupada all day. When I hear Prabhupada's voice, he says, I feel like, okay, now my day has begun. So please continue to hear, he said. And another advantage with this is when you hear Srila Prabhupada and you read Srila Prabhupada and you chant and sincerely pray to Krishna, then you will never be cheated. You'll never be cheated. Because if somebody comes and tells you something that I heard in this class, I heard in that book, I read in this thing, and this person said this, that person said that, very quickly your mind will tell you, but that's not what you read in Prabhupada's books. That's not what you've heard Prabhupada say. So when you see this world through the eyes of the Acharya who compassionately spread Krishna consciousness, we are in safe hands. We are in safe hands. We could have two kinds of deviations on the path of bhakti. One internally and the other externally. Externally meaning we, in the generation of internet, we start guru shopping, where we start, okay, let me see what this guru says, let me see what that sampradaya says, let me see what this organization says. And then we get confused with the philosophy of everyone. It's like a baby who goes drinking milk of every possible mother. Better to be fixed in being nourished by the milk of our own mother. So better to hear Srila Prabhupada completely instead of being distracted. Because with social media, what happens is you hear one class and by then another little thing pops up. So then you say, okay, that title, and of course, clickbait. That's another thing. People will have catchy titles and catchy um, thumbnails. So then you feel, okay, the class that you're hearing is not as important. Let me hear that. And then we just keep hop, skipping, and jumping. We increase the speed. We make it into I don't know what the technical term is, but you make it into a smaller window and then you start browsing something else or you start WhatsApp messages while the class is on. So many things, right? The mind is not being able to focus. So that's the distraction from the outside. Then the distraction from within is we see devotees in our organization, our temple, our family, and they may all have different opinions. There may be different opinions even in the same family of Prabhupada. And there will definitely be different opinions in other families outside. So we, by hearing and reading Srila Prabhupada and chanting sincerely and practicing Vaishnav culture, not to hurt anyone, bhalo na khaibe, bhalo na poribe, amani na manadiya, sada Krishna naam lobhe, ব্রজে রাধা কৃষ্ণ সেবা মানসী করিবে গ্রাম্য কথা না শুনিবে গ্রাম্য বার্তা না কহিবে by not hearing things which are gossip, not speaking things which are gossip, by eating simple food, by wearing simple clothes, respecting everyone, chanting as much as we can, and remembering Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. When we practice these principles, we can be shaken by the inside or the outside. Things will happen. Different people will join the movement, different people will leave the movement. And Prabhupada said, don't be amazed by how many leave, be amazed by how many stay. Because in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult. Maya will give us so many reasons to lose faith, to get distracted, to become diluted. तो पहले हम चख लें, हम पहले भजन कर लें, पहले हम भगवान की प्राप्ति कर लें, पहले हम भगवान के चरण में जो भक्ति है, जो सेवा वृत्ति है, उसको जागृत कर लें हमारे हृदय में भगवान के चरणों के प्रति. फर्स्ट लेट अस bathe sarvatma snapanam, let us saturate ourselves with this practice, and then of course we can save the world even after some time. Prabhupada was given the instruction in 1922 when he met Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He took 44 years to execute it. So that's fine. We can always do Jana Kalyan later. First, we should fix ourselves. How are we responding in our speech? When reversals come, are we able to see Krishna's hand, or do we get into a fault finding mentality? Do we become competitive? Do we become envious? Do we become lusty? When we see Matravat Paradari when we see women, when we see men, does our mind think, oh, this person is beautiful or this person is handsome? What kind of duplicity is that, where we are having that going on in our head? We have a Bollywood song going on in our head, and then we put on a tilak and we put on a chadar and we act that we are a preacher. Mathe tilak kanthi mala, ache piche sundar bala. We cannot we cannot be a preacher with kanthi and tilak and deviate, right? So I wanted to speak on this topic based on Prabhupada's letter from yesterday and the context that we are reading, because this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, for a long time, you will see Hiranyakashipu's katha is included. Hiranyakashipu is speaking not just to his followers. Very soon in this chapter, you will see Hiranyakashipu speaks to Hiranyaksha's wife, Hiranyaksha's mother, which is his own mother, Diti, and also Hiranyaksha's children. Why? Because Hiranyaksha died. He was liberated by Varahadev. So they're all grieving, the wife, the mother, the children. And Hiranyakashipu uvacha. Bhagavatam says Shri Hiranyakashipu uvacha. Hiranyakashipu, Shri lagaya hai, which means the reverential. And he spoke. Now, Bhagwan Vyasadev could have edited this section out. Who cares about a Bhagavatam class given by Hiranyakashipu, right? Imagine you go to a temple, there are two options. In one temple, Prahlad Maharaj is speaking, another temple, Hiranyakashipu is speaking. Where do you think we'll go and attend the Sunday feast, right? We want to hear from Prahlad Maharaj. And we don't want to hear even the recording of Hiranyakashipu, is what we will think. But Bhagwan Vyasadev has given a whole chapter where Hiranyakashipu is speaking to his followers, and he's speaking Atma Tattva Jnana. Can you believe that? Hiranyakashipu is speaking to the wife of Hiranyaksha, the children of Hiranyaksha, the mother of Hiranyaksha, by saying, whom are you crying for? क्या लेके आए थे और क्या लेके जाएंगे? Are you crying for the body or are you crying for the soul? If you're crying for the body is right here. And if you're crying for the soul, you never saw the soul. The soul is distinct from the body. So second chapter, what Krishna spoke in the Gita, that is second chapter of seventh canto. Krishna is speaking to Arjun, Hiranyakashipu is speaking to Hiranyaksha's family. But what is the difference? The difference is Hiranyakashipu, when he speaks to his demoniac followers, he's saying, Jala do, bhasma kar do, rak kar do, unmulit kar do, uproot these trees, kill these brahmanas, set the houses on fire. He's preaching his realization because he's thinking like that. What he's thinking, what he's practicing, he's preaching. So that's a good message for us. But when he's speaking to Hiranyaksha's family, he's speaking about Atma Tattva Jnana. भैया आपको यदि इतना ज्ञान था तो यही दृष्टि आप प्रहलाद महाराज और विष्णु के चरणों में क्यों नहीं लगाए? यही आसुरिक प्रवृत्ति है. If you're so knowledgeable, then, oh dear Hiranyakashipu, why wouldn't you use the same thing for at the lotus feet of Vishnu and at the lotus feet of Prahlad Maharaj? Where did all that Atma Tattva Gyan go? Then at that point, the realization or the lesson for all of us is practice what you preach. Practice what you preach. So both these sections in this chapter, along with Srila Prabhupada's letter on boiling the milk, has that one common lesson, that one common message of preaching what we practice, like how he's doing it to his followers, and at least practicing what we preach, like how he's doing to Hiranyaksha's family. And by that, we can boil the milk. We can, when you add water to the milk, it becomes diluted, no taste. But when you boil the milk, it gets thicker and thicker, and finally you can have some rabdi, right? The quantity will be less, but the quality will be high class. So that is what Prabhupada meant. In our life, instead of just adding water like thoughts, water like association, water like tendencies, and diluting the milk of bhakti, let us thicken it. Let's increase the temperature of our practice so that we can offer Krishna our heart, which is not milk anymore, but it is rabdi for his service. And then that Kuliya Prasad, you can give it to everyone else, like Radharaman temple gives. First, we will make rabdi, offer it to Krishna ourselves. The rabdi of our heart, we can offer it to Krishna. And then that can be distributed later. Okay? This also brings me to the concluding point. In the section of Sanatan Goswami and Haridas Thakur, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would spend time with both of them, Sanatan Goswami and Haridas Thakur at Siddha Bakul in Jagannath Puri. And both of them would feel the other person is more fortunate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would embrace Sanatan Goswami, and Namacharya Haridas Thakur would say, "Ho, ho, ho, you're so fortunate. Mahaprabhu is every day embracing your body." Sanatan Goswami had open sore at that time. His body was filled with um, pus and infection. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would every day come and embrace him, and all that prasadi nectar from the body of Sanatan Goswami would get smeared on the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this was breaking the heart of Sanatan Goswami. Imagine you have a cut somewhere and there's some blood there, and you embrace a senior Vaishnava, and this blood touches their body, you'll feel very embarrassed, right? You'll feel, oh, ho, 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 you want to go and wipe it immediately. Imagine embracing Mahaprabhu, embracing Sanatan Goswami, and pus from his body on the golden body of Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu, who can cure Sanatan, is not curing Sanatan, so that every day he can get the nectar of his body on his transcendental form. So, seeing this, Namacharya Haridas Thakur said, "You are most fortunate." So, to that, Sanatan Goswami Pad says, "What is the use of this embrace? You are the one who's the embodiment of Mahaprabhu's instruction. Mahaprabhu came in this world not to embrace, he came in this world to spread the holy name. And oh, Sri Haridas Thakur, you are chanting the holy name and you're preaching about the holy name." Sanatan Goswami Pad said, "There are some who chant, but they don't preach about the holy name. And there are some who preach about Harinam, but they don't chant. But achar prachar namer karo dui karya. Tumi sarva guru, tumi jagatera arya." O Namacharya Haridas Thakur, you are chanting the holy name and preaching the nectar of the holy name. You are the Acharya for the whole world. And there in that verse, he says, Achar prachara namer karadoi karya. First word used is achar. Achar doesn't mean pickle here. Acharan means practice. You are practicing yourself and you're inspiring others. Therefore, you are the guru for the whole world. So this should be our motto. I say one soul at a time, starting with myself. Thank you. Gaur Premanande. We'll see you next class. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Gaur Bhakt Brind ki jai, Jai Jai Sri Radhe Sham, Jai Ho, Jai Ho. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.